It is time for football chatter on the show, and our seasonal guests are going to be the folks from Hill Brothers Football. That is Brandon and Brian Hill, who have done an excellent job over the years, really showcasing and highlighting players in the western part of the state for the state of Kansas. All right, so you guys are coming on here. You're going to tell me some of the biggest and the baddest guys out there in the state right now after we got a few weeks of the high school football season under our belt. Brian, we'll start with you. Just who's the guy that's kind of caught your eye so far early on in the season?
Well, one that I'm an offensive guy, and so Maxton Smiley, he's a young quarterback out at Colby High School that has been putting up video game numbers here. He's had over 600 yards and 8 touchdowns, and just has been a leader there. And coming, being a guy who's first started in varsity football, to be able to get a start off to his season like that has been pretty tremendous. And the amount of throwing and things, you just don't see that in Western Kansas very much. And so for him to be able to put up those kind of numbers, and their team was 1-1. Lost a really close game early on to Ulysses in the opening week, but since then they seem to be firing all cylinders. And he obviously has been working with his receivers and things over the summertime because of the continuity that you see in with him and that offense out there at Colby.
Yeah, it's been impressive so far. Brandon, anybody that's popped off the page for you so far?
Yeah, I would say what Hayes has done so far has been pretty impressive with, knocking off Derby and number one ranked team, and then an Oklahoma ranked number one team, Choctaw. Holden Lynn, he's the running back there at Hayes, and he's been consistent. He's had a couple 160-yard rushing weeks with a couple touchdowns each. I mean, that O-line there at Hayes is huge. That's kind of what they lean on, is that run game, and he's definitely produced those first 2 weeks, and it'll be interesting to see as they progress through the season, how much more that running game, that O-line carries them and how far they can go. But yeah, Holden Lynn's definitely stuck out these first 2 weeks.
Yeah, he has been a stud. Brian, anybody else that stood out to you?
Well, you can easily go to Victoria almost every year, but this year Kyle Hooser, leading that group. They've got a big senior class that has come back. They've won a lot of games there. Obviously, the tradition of Victoria runs deep, but they've been off to a great start. They have, a big comeback win against South Central. And, that leadership and things when you get 5 returning starters in an 8-man school, and he's anchoring it on the offensive and defensive lines that, they've always been very productive on offense, and they have a very stingy defense. And, with that kind of a victory early on in the season, is going to kind of propel them, and who knows what's going to happen the rest of the way. But he's been a big, someone that was on the radar to us this summer. But has just continued to kind of prove his worth, and he's definitely somebody I think that small colleges and things need to be paying attention to, because he plays much bigger than what is just going on in the 8-man world.
Yeah, a lot of talk on Victoria right now, and rightfully so. Kyle, a big part of that. Brandon, anybody else?
Yeah, I've had the opportunity to see this kid twice so far in person. Cooper Cranston of Holcomb. Last year he was a freshman, and he just played some receiver and some defense, and his role this year is expanded. He's the quarterback, and he still plays safety, and he returns kicks and he punts. I mean, week 1 against Cheney, that's a good Cheney team, and he definitely stood out as the best player on the field during that game. And it was muddy, rainy conditions, and he still, his athleticism, stood out. One play that probably doesn't. He ran back a kickoff that got called back, but one play that stood out to me that, we take for granted, he's the punter. And late in the game, about midfield, there was a high snap, and he was able to one-hand it that probably would have gone over and been a difference in the game, possibly at the end of the game. And he was able to snag it and still get it kicked off. And I think that was a big key to the game. But, last week he had 2 touchdown passes, 2 touchdown rushing. He had 3 picks. One of them goes for a pick 6, 50-yard punt. He's the punter. I mean, as a sophomore, he definitely makes an impact on all 3 phases of the game for sure for Holcomb.
So Coach Teeter's pretty happy over there right now, huh?
Oh, definitely. Definitely.
Well, one of the things you guys do so well is highlighting the individuals, but I also really like the way you guys go about highlighting some of the matchups that are coming up. So folks that maybe don't know the schedules or aren't looking at them so consistently, you guys do a pretty good job of hitting some of those Western Kansas matchups. How much do you enjoy that? And I guess anything else that we need to know about Western Kansas football right now?
Yeah, we try to highlight a few games each week that might be kind of players or games of the week for sure. Few teams that have kind of caught our eye early on that don't get the attention, maybe the preseason that some of the others have is, 8-man one. Tree goes off to a 2-0 start with quality wins over Hill City and Hoxie. Hodgman County's off to a 2-0 start, and they're 8-man 2. They got a lot of kids returning, so, look for them, maybe late in the postseason. And Russell has had a couple good quality wins to start off, and they look like they could be a team that could be reckoned with in 2A. So it's kind of cool to see some of these teams that maybe don't get all the publicity as some of the other traditional powerhouses that are off to a good start, and maybe, this is their year.
Brian, Brandon, appreciate the time. Keep up the good work.
Thank you.
All right, thanks, Cole.
That is Brian and Brandon with Hill Brothers Football. You can check out them on social media. Keep up to date with everything going on in Western Kansas football.